morning. It is morning huddle time.
Good morning. It is morning huddle time. I'm Chad Prinky here alongside Stacey Holzinger, as always.
The nature of the beast is the competitive nature of the industry.
Is if you can see it, you can be it.
It's all about the people. The people are what make it great and worthwhile.
Yeah, anything that I think helps build the story behind the company is great.
These are the things that that you're like, we don't need that because we have plenty of work right now. Got it. But if you don't do it now, where are you going to have work in the future? Good morning. It is morning huddle time. I want to start a new tradition, which is to make the first thing we cover on our show a thank you to our sponsors. So let's go ahead and get that out. The Morning Huddle Construction Show is fortunate to have 5 sponsors for Season 7, helping us to spread the word and create positive change in the construction industry. And we want to give a shout out to each of them and thank them now. First is Katz Abosch. This is a middle market accounting firm with a deep specialization in construction, tax, audit, accounting. Fantastic group of people. Next is Lawrence Law. This is a boutique law firm that works with contractors and helps them with their day-to-day legal needs as well as all of their most significant legal challenges that they might run up against. Lawrence Law. And we have Sandy Spring Bank, which is a regional bank in Maryland, with a group of people who really understand what the needs of construction businesses are and who partner with you to achieve your financial aims. So Sandy Spring Bank. And then we have Marsh McLennan Agency, bonding and insurance professionals who really just have unparalleled insight into the construction industry. They're the best in the business. And then lastly, we have Genesis AEC. And Genesis is a full service architecture, engineering, and construction management firm with a deep specialization in the life sciences industry. We also happen to have some of their folks help us with guest hosting from time to time. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Let's get back to the show. New season, new habits, new weird format. I feel like I'm in a tiny little box on this mobile format.
Yeah, a little things that we have to work out with formatting but all good changes.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. Yeah, I did my best, darn it. I was doing what you're right.
Great.
You're right. Look, I'm really glad to be back. This is our 7th season, our umpteen millionth episode. It was really, really nice to not have the habit, but I started to get the itch like a month ago, and I was looking forward to getting back.
Same. I'm excited to meet new people, new topics, new guests.
Absolutely.
It's a great year.
What'd you do in your time off? What'd you do in on all your time off? Because, this being our full-time job and all, wink, wink.
Well, I know you went to Montana, and I appreciate your spreadsheet, by the way. Like, your wife put that together, you said?
No, I put that together.
Oh, you did?
My wife is not the vacation.
Well, I knew the fishing side was definitely, which I should share that with my dad because he'd probably love that. But yeah, I definitely want to visit Montana, and I heard your trip looked amazing. We went to Maine, and I wish we hiked more, honestly. We didn't get that much hiking in Acadia, so I would want to go back there and maybe also like the fall. But we had a great summer. I mean, the weather was just so great this summer. So
it was a good. I mean, depending on where you were in the country, right? But,
yeah.
But depending on, for us in this little pocket, yeah, you're right. It only got like super hot for 2 weeks. Yeah, it was like that. And I was gone for one of them out in Montana where it was not particularly super hot. Yeah, that was so during the break, Stacey, the book Well Built has been out since I guess June 18th or something like that. It's almost been 3 months. We've sold 3,500 or 3,600 copies during that time. It's crazy. I don't know exactly how that happened.
I've seen your PR team. They're doing a great job getting the word out there.
They really are good. Shout out to Zilker Media on that. They have done an awesome job, and Advantage Publishing. That combination between Zilker and Advantage has been really, really useful and effective in getting the book out. We're number 1 across like 8 different Amazon categories. Still number 2 in construction, darn it, because we're behind this estimating manual.
Oh, come on, estimating.
But I get it. It must be a part of like many college curriculums because
Yeah.
we got killed by them in August, which tells you that's when they're ordering a
Oh,
bunch of
yeah.
those books, right? So I'm thinking we're going to overtake those suckers. But no, I mean it's awesome. We're very, very fortunate to have that happen, and it's been an exciting time, and a lot of people with a lot of interest, and really. Generally speaking, as I said, people were like, I'm shocked that it doesn't suck. Evidently the book does not suck. And it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, that's exciting. We launched our social media campaign this summer, the Chat CTE. So I've been posting about that, and it's been so well received. We're starting to get the word out and advertise now on that. And that's where we partnered with Montgomery County Public Schools and then various contractors. We spent 5 weeks just meeting, boots on the ground, meeting the construction workers, learning about their jobs, trying to get that word out there about what they do. And it just keeps flourishing. And I keep getting partnerships that want to be involved in it. So we expect this to grow over the next year or two. And then I met with Hannah from Salary Transparent Street, who inspired me to do this channel because her channel took off in like a year with her husband. This is what she does full time now. She's making changes in the law. So she inspired me because I saw on her Instagram feed, everyone was requesting represent the trades more, represent trades more positions. So I'm like, I can niche this down and do this. And she's totally on board with, partnering with me. So I'm excited to see where this can go in the next year or two.
Me too. I think it always impresses me the degree to which you are truly passionate and committed about the workforce development side of this thing. And that is what a fantastic channel and opportunity. And if we wanted to learn more, we would just go to what chat.
At chat_CTE. And I am getting more and more worried about because our numbers keep increasing and every single one of my clients is hiring. I'm sure you could say the same.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same positions mostly across the board.
Yeah.
And that's super scary to me because they have the work and can't find the people. So we need to explore out of box things. Like
so many ideas on that, Stacey. It's, you're working on one angle. I've got a whole other angle with let's fix immigration and all that type of stuff. I think we need, we got to fight it on all fronts, but to be continued. We got to bring in our guest today, who I'm really excited to talk to about this giant pool of cash that the government has created for the electric vehicle market in this infrastructure bill. We have Larry Bullock joining us. Larry, thank you so much for taking your time today to be a part of the Huddle.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
Well, we thank you again for being here. Larry, if you wouldn't mind, give us 30 seconds or so about yourself just to orient our audience to exactly who you are, what you do, and basically context that we can all hear as you're talking about this topic today.
All right. Well, allow me to give you a 30-second infomercial on the United States Minority Contractors Association. Often referred to as USMCA.
Yep.
And we're in the western suburb of Chicago in Barrington, Illinois. We were founded 32 years ago in Evanston, Illinois, in a business incubator by Northwestern University. 10 minority firms got together at the request of the city of Chicago to become an assist agency. More 32 years now, we're celebrating our 33rd year. We're in 26 states and 250 firms across America.
Wow.
With 15 divisions. Talking about me, I have a background in public administration finance, served 10 years in the Illinois House of Representatives, owned 2 construction companies, wrote many laws on the books in the state, but really have always had a passion for construction. Probably the height of my ambitions is that I'm an ordained Methodist minister. And so I am a pastor. I do have a congregation. But at USMCA, we strive to do 2 things: to provide technical assistance to minority entrepreneurs, and we do that through bringing along non-minority entrepreneurs to assist us in our efforts to get these minority entrepreneurs bid ready. The second thing we do is that we're an advocacy group. We advocate both in public and private sector for the build industry. We have an international division. We're in 10 countries. Dr. Gail Frazier is heading that up and has a passion for West Africa, but also we have members have passions for India and Mexico. We have probably a healthcare medical innovations division. But I'm here today at your request as your guest to follow up on something we did back in April. We launched a national summit symposium on the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Law and how that worked out of the Inflation Investment Jobs Act passed by the Biden-Harris administration. That was the genesis of that. And that summit was so successful, we're going to do part 2 in March 2025 in Huntsville, Alabama. And so I hope that sets the table here. Chad and Stacey, if I missed something, feel free to ask.
No, that's fantastic. And talk a little bit about the so you said, what was the date of part 2 of this summit?
March 25, 2025, Huntsville, Alabama. It'll be 3 days, 25, 26, 27.
Excellent.
We just celebrated down in Huntsville, Alabama, the 3rd anniversary of our Alabama chapter. And I really fell in love with Huntsville. Huntsville is now the largest city in the great state of Alabama.
Is it really?
Yes, it is the largest city in the great state of Alabama. And they call themselves a rocket city because they have so much industry, technology moving to Huntsville. Some people say it really doesn't belong in Alabama, should be in Illinois. I don't know if we got any room up here about it. I'm sure they could talk to Governor J.B. Pritzker. He'd make room for him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I believe it.
What 2 contracting firms did you work for? I was just curious.
It sounded like he owned a couple.
I own 2 construction companies.
What type
April Cobra Enterprises. You can go to our website, April Cobra Enterprises. And then I had another firm. It's called Heartland Energy Alternative Technology. That was before we got into sustainability. And I tell everybody, that's when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. That's what I'm talking about. Because I've been in business for 40 years.
Nice.
Yeah, I own 2 construction companies, yes, and a consulting firm.
So you have a vast and fascinating and set of experiences.
Thank you.
If time allows, I would love to just talk, but we also have a mission, which is to teach this audience about the opportunities that exist. And I think, obviously there's a ton of opportunity that's been created from the infrastructure bill. And one of those pieces is revolving around the EV industry, which is clearly a fast growing space, but I don't know if people know a lot about it. So can you talk, just to orient ourselves a little bit, what's the situation when it comes to the EV industry? What kind of infrastructure are we looking at? What does exist? What do we think the needs are? What's the demand? All that type of stuff.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's in the transportation industry. So we need to set the table. We're talking about the transportation industry. And we're talking about an industry that is seeing an economic boom. And so when they passed the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, within that law, they set aside $5 billion. And now, as we move toward the middle of 2024, they've already spent $2.5 billion. That's money that is flowing down through the states, to the municipalities and local governments. That's money that the private sector is going to get a part of. And so since Joe Biden took office and passed this law, 500,000 charging networks is what was his pledge and commitment, to do 500,000 charging stations,
right,
public and private,
okay,
tier 1, tier 2s, okay? And so currently in the US, there's probably 175,000 charging stations. So you can see the spread and the deficiencies there. In America today, 1 in 10 vehicles is what you call an electric vehicle that have already been sold. And so that number is going to increase. As that number increases, opportunities will emerge. And I'll talk about some of those later, which you have asked me to talk about. But I just simply want to set the table. And part of that law said that every state and territory had to submit a plan before they could get a penny of this money. And so thus far, they've got about 26 states that have submitted their plans, and those plans must comport with the law. So I don't want to go too deep into the weeds and be a nerd in the dark, which I am, but I'll let you ask me questions, but you can see the landscape. I hope I painted the landscape for you.
Well, yeah, that is an excellent. So just to reiterate, we're about, maybe a third of where we need to be in terms of fulfilling the 500,000 station promise. We're about halfway through the overall funding, and the funding is rolling through the states and counties and municipalities, at a rapid rate right now. So the opportunity has not passed us by, but we're in the midst of it.
I mean, it started 22, 23, 24. We're not in the 24 yet. We still have, say, 6 months to go.
Yep.
But the mission of the mission, vision, value proposition of the law, which comes through an office called the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, and Energy and Transportation is called the Joint Office for Energy and Transportation. They set up this new office to administer this, and you can go to driveelectric.gov and /contact. Should your audience want to follow up or get more information, driveelectric.gov /contact and get more information. But the idea there is that our future is that people are going to be riding on electric vehicles, cars, buses, et cetera, et cetera. So it is an industry that brings with it an economic boom. And at some point in the conversation, I hope we can talk about why I focused on this specifically, because within that law is something called Justice 40.
Well, let's go ahead and transition to it. Talk about Justice 40 and then the opportunity it creates. I mean, I think we now have a good sense of the lay of the land and in this vision of a world where we're driving electric cars. Side note, I hope that also includes a vision where we have a much more substantial overall power grid that's powered with personal vote for nuclear. I'll get into a conversation with that a different day. But we have to upgrade all that. But let's leave that off to the side. Talk about Justice 40 and where your organization comes in.
Okay, thank you so much, Chad. Within this law, and it is the law, was an initiative that was put into the law, and it's called Justice 40 Initiative. And Justice 40 Initiative was established in January 2021. And the goal is that 40% of every dollar spent under the $5 billion operation should be spent in what's called disadvantaged communities.
Yep.
And so obviously the US Minority Contractors Association is an advocacy group for MBE, DBE, service disabled veterans, LGBTQ entities, anybody that falls within the category of a minority business enterprise, a minority disadvantaged business enterprise, is our natural constituency. And so we felt that if we could hit the road or explain further this Justice 40 proposition, which says how can disadvantaged communities get involved and become engaged in this new industry, which cannot be outsourced. This cannot be outsourced. It also has some goals of sustainability. And later on, hopefully when I start talking about new opportunities that many minority firms may not have even thought about within this national electric vehicle infrastructure. It is an entire infrastructure that's going to be done in all states and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands by law.
Interesting. Okay, got it. And so what do you have examples? Do you have a sense of how successful the minority contracting space has been at capitalizing on this to date?
Well, it's been a heavy lift for USMCA because information is not readily available, but thanks to shows like this and people like you and Stacey, we're able to get this message out beyond our own family, i.e. US Minority Contractor Association.
Yeah.
And that's why we had that summit back in April and invited subject matter experts from across the country. As is true with most federal programs, and when we talk about the infrastructure laws, you remember historically, there were barriers built that discriminated against communities and individuals. Everybody knows that. You've heard some talk how they used to build the highways right through certain communities. And so I don't want to belabor the point here this morning on this show about the historical obstacles and discrimination against disadvantaged communities. We all know about it, and we're trying to mitigate against it. So what we're doing is keeping in the forefront of our outreach, our efforts, our summits and seminars, the information that comes from the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, and telling our members how they can access the money. And they need to get out front of the money. As you just said, 2022, 2023, now half of 2024 is gone. And many of them don't know that this money was being sent to both state, county, and local governments. We had some involvement and conversation with county officials and state officials when we were calling them, asking, well, tell us your plan for spending this money, because we want to make certain that there's some diversity, equity, and inclusion in it. And they said, in all due respect, we're still trying to figure this out ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go to Lake of the Ozark, Missouri, they haven't been spending a lot of time in their departments of construction and highways and roads dealing with this issue.
No.
Somebody put a plan together and they sent it to Washington. And now that Washington's approved it, the money is going to come. So that's the conundrum that we find ourselves in working with our members. We have had success. Of course we have. One of our biggest success stories is right down in Birmingham, Alabama. One of our E&T gentlemen down there, Reverend Lindsey King, is considered a bright star. We have a lady that was one of our subject matter experts in Michigan, Dunamis. She literally manufactures EV charging stations.
Nice. We
We have some of our affiliates out in Oregon and places like that. We have one of our chapters in Georgia, in the great state of Georgia. That governor has embraced full throat, wholeheartedly, this electric vehicle infrastructure development for the state of Georgia. Now, unfortunately, Stacey, there are some people who are still operating in the I just say, let's say in the 16th century. Maybe
Let's say in the 16th century. It was an interesting
money back.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing a plan, they sent the money back. Can you say Florida? And that's terrible to send money back. The state of Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama, they said, send us all the money you got. We need your money. And consequently, with the money come provisions, Chad, come mandates that they have to follow. And that's how the USMCA accesses this new industry.
Yep.
I mean, that's a long answer to a short question.
Oh, I get it. And there's one of my experiences with this type of thing with anytime there are, there's a set aside for a specific community, is that oftentimes the best vehicle to getting these folks engaged. Certainly, you've got, the USMCA is a great place to learn more if you are a minority contractor and you want to get, exposure to this stuff. That, getting engaged in the community like that is going to give you a ton of visibility. I don't know why anybody wouldn't be a part of that if they were, if they fit that description. But one of the other best vehicles that I found is that it's through non-MBEs who are looking for partners to help to get this stuff done, because they have to reach this 40% minimum, right? So you might as well have partners in your areas, so to speak, that you can work together with. And so that it leads me to just a question. I don't know. Yeah, we didn't plan on, but I hope it's okay to ask. Are there non-minority contractors involved with the USMCA, and are they encouraged to play a role in that in terms of being potential mentor companies and
Yes.
And partner companies for minority?
Let me just say unapologetically, and not to show any hubris, 5 of the top general contractors in America, 5 of the top 10 are members of the USMCA. I mentioned at the opening that we have to rely upon non-minority general contractors and developers
Yep.
to reach our goal, mission, objectives. You're talking about Turner. You're talking about Gilbane, down south, Brassville and Goree, Pepper Construction, Midwest. I could go all across the country and cite big, large general contracting firms. They are members of our association.
For that purpose, right? Meaning they view it as an opportunity to advocate for, and it's a win-win.
Yeah, for that purpose and to increase their bottom line. They want
absolutely right.
And like you were talking earlier about workforce development, and they encounter situations where the law says that you've got to have some DEI, but also in the private sector, they're looking for quality contractors that can do their work. And so here they come to the USMCA, and I tell them all the time, jokingly, that we become your business development arm for a nominal membership fee. We help you in your business development. We have banks and insurance agencies and underwriters. You mentioned some of your 5 sponsors. We have entities like that are here. You follow me? We have the largest bank in the Midwest, just a Midwest holding company, which is Wintrust. They're part of our operation. Down south, we got Truist Bank. Up along the East Coast, Washington, D.C., and places like that, we have Chase Bank. And then I could mention architectural firms. Some of the, if you go to the website, US Minority Contractors.org, US Minority Contractors with an S.org, third time, US Minority Contractors.org, you will find our landing page, and you can find out all about us. And you'll see that we have something called the ETI, which is the Entrepreneur Training Institute, which is our business incubator. And I've noticed this morning in the chat, several of our members have joined this podcast.
Yep.
Cortina Williams and Shirley Noriega, and I'm sure others are coming, and they can attest in their own way through this LinkedIn podcast, the kind of work that we do. Cortina is in Florida. Shirley is coming to us Florida as well, and others are coming to us from Texas. I'm just looking at the people joining this call, but we can't do it without collaboration. Chad, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we have to have collaboration.
Yep, agreed.
If we're going to mitigate the thing that I mentioned a moment ago, the historic barriers that have prevented minority entrepreneurs, especially in the build industry, from succeeding.
Makes total sense. It does. And I think, the work that you're doing around an incubator, that sounds like useful, important work, as well as I think, there's great value in helping these businesses to become long-term sustainable wealth creation machines. Right?
Well, our euphemism and secret sauce, and it helps me when I'm talking to people, is becoming bid ready. The key word in this joint is bid ready.
Cool.
You have to help these firms become bid ready. And that's a short answer to a long and historical question. Our job at the USMCA is to get minority entrepreneurs bid ready, especially in this new industry here that cannot be outsourced.
Mm-hmm.
And this economic boom that's coming, it's on its way. There's a new revolution coming, as you know, in transportation.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And we also understand the short walk in terms of sustainability, solar panels, and all that stuff. It's a very short walk. If people are going to drive cars on interstate highways, and some of these places are out in rural communities, Chad, they got to have more charging stations along the road, because when they stop and run out, you might even not be able to get a tow truck.
Right.
Many of the gas stations in America today, Chad, in the rural communities, not just suburban and urban communities, many of them are converting their stations to hybrid.
Yeah, they're putting in EV charging stations.
I've seen that.
I have seen it.
Yeah,
I
a lot now. Yeah.
And they can't build them fast enough. So whenever you get ready, I'll just tell you the new frontier for minority entrepreneurs, but I'm not driving this car, you are.
I'm one of my vehicles is an electric vehicle, and I had a 500-mile journey that I took it on, and I went to one of those hybrid stations, went in, got myself a snack, came out, my car was ready to go. And it was it was definitely, proof of concept, right in action. It was fantastic. And I thought, okay, wow,
I
well,
mean,
we just need more of these.
these gas stations realize they make their money not on pumping gas.
That's right.
But they make their money on what you did. You went in and got some food.
That's right. I went in and bought
so
some
they got an electric vehicle. They're
Yep.
gonna make a little money out there.
Yep.
But they're gonna make the money when you go in there and get the food.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So there's the demand. There's definitely.
Stacey, I'm just saying.
It's true. That's true.
100% true. I know. I don't stop without making it, without walking in, right? So yes. All right. So we've got, clearly we've got the demand. We've got the, the edict is out there to make this happen. It's, it's. There are some states that are going to fall behind here, which is dumb. I couldn't agree more. I think that's just a mistake. But that they'll end up jumping on board eventually. They're just playing politics at the moment. Let's get a little nerdy. Let's jump into some of the nuts and bolts and talk about the scopes associated with this. So, what kind of trades are going to be involved in installing an EV? So obviously there's a manufacturing side, and that exists, right? You can manufacture the stations. Most of our audience aren't going to be a part of the manufacturing side of that equation. They're definitely going to be involved in the install and the maintain side of that equation. So talk a little bit about some of the trade skills that would come in handy to be able to do some of this, EV install before we have to wrap up.
Well, Chad, you're spot on and absolutely correct. It all starts with the actual manufacturing of the electric vehicle charging station. But that's just the beginning, because somebody has to become an authorized installer,
right,
with the training and requisite things. Obviously, by nature, you're looking at electricians, you're looking at site utility contractors, you follow me? Some people who can do excavation and digging, people who can pour a little concrete, people who can pull wire for a long period, long distance, but also people who can set up security apparatus on that EV charging station, people who can do IT work to make certain that the charging station is talking to whomever it needs to talk to. But the thing is, the maintenance part of this is going to be critical, because the people who manufacture this are not interested in coming out on a call when the station isn't working. They're going to get the subcontractors to do the maintenance work.
And maintenance work is, as the any contractor who's got a maintenance division compared to a construction division can attest, is much more stable, much this ongoing profitable revenue stream.
Right.
But what kind of is it, essentially, is it electrical maintenance,
well,
electrical
it's
and digital?
all of that. It's excavation. You got to put the wires in. Somebody's got to come out and break out the street and the curb, the gutter to install this. You're gonna have
right, but after it's installed, right?
Yeah.
After it's
before installation. I mean,
I get that. No, I follow you. You walk through the excavation, the concrete, the wire. Like I agree. Once it's installed, from a maintenance standpoint, I mean, obviously, sometimes the issue may be back at the curb, and we got to rip up the ground and get to it. But is it mostly electrical maintenance at that point?
Well, there's a whole new profession now has grown in this cottage industry. Technicians who do this. And so let me just jump to where I wanted to get, because
go for it, Larry.
And basically, I wanted to talk about electric car business ideas, and I got about 17 here. So just let your mind wander for a moment. How do I fit in? The old saying on the street is that you get in where you fit in. For example, you can start an electric charging station. You can become an electric vehicle, a battery recharger. You can refurbish batteries. You can also start a electric vehicle repair shop. You can start a diagnostics center. You can become an electric car power banking manufacturer, EV charging station distributor. You can become a powertrain manufacturer. Start an electric car dealership that does nothing but deal with electric cars. You can start courses that you can teach, courses of EV mechanical engineering courses. You can start self-driven electric vehicle taxis, Uber kinds of stuff. You can set up, as I said before, a service and repair garage. You can become an electric vehicle battery manufacturer, so we don't have to outsource this stuff to China and places like that. You can say, I'm going to start a spraying and branding workshop, because some people still like to put the stuff on their cars. I don't know why. They like the paints and the leopard stripes. I don't know, but some people enjoy it. I mean, billionaires do. You can also start an electric car tracker installation and repair. With an electric vehicle, you have to be careful for towing. You can say that Chad and Larry Towing Business, we specialize in electric vehicle towing, branded, and folks will call you. And not just call the guy down the street with your tow truck because I called AAA, because my electric vehicle car is very, very sensitive, and it costs me a lot of money. And the same thing will be true if you just start a car wash. Our car wash.
I've heard issues with them.
And washing electric vehicles. So I just wanted to drop a few things out there for people to think about. New frontiers, new ideas, new businesses, because, and that list is not exhaustive. There are a lot of other areas that people can get into. But the main thing is, I want our audience to remember is that when this podcast is over and you've read everything in the chat, just go to driveelectric.gov. Driveelectric.gov/contact. And you can ask all kinds of questions about the subject that this podcast is lifting up this morning. So I hope I helped you, Chad, and gave you some.
This is great.
I have a question. When you were talking about earlier, 26 states submitted their plans. Is that what you're talking about? Like, you take an idea, a business idea, and you're submitting your plan to execute?
No, the states had to submit master plans.
Okay.
From their departments. The Department of Transportation is, in fact, the tip of the spear in all states.
Okay.
For this particular program, because this program is dealing with transportation. You follow me?
Yes.
And so each state was required, which means mandated by law, to submit to the Federal Department of Transportation, Secretary Pete Buttigieg's office, and over Jennifer Granholm in Energy and Environmental, their plans for the federal government to approve. And once the federal government approved it, then they were going to send the money. And the states want the money. And the states have certain areas they have to spend the money in both rural, urban communities and suburban communities. Many of these states are focusing their money on their interstate highways, people like Chad out there driving. We have a tollway authority up here in Illinois. It's called the Illinois Highway Toll Authority. And they're creating a special new innovative things at those toll stations, Chad. They've already gone away. Your money won't work anymore now. It's all a swipe card. The days you went by and dropped that's gone. That's dead. That's the dinosaur.
Yeah.
You follow me? But now they're getting to the point where not only do they control the speed, but also they can provide other services to you at those oasis and toll stations. And they are preparing ultimately to have trains run on those tollways. Electric trains. I mean, you've been to Europe, I'm sure, Chad and Stacey. You have. I have. They laugh at us in America because we don't have any bullet trains.
Yeah.
And they got bullet trains that go under the ocean. And that's a subject for another day, and I don't want to be part of it.
It is, but overall, there's, I love a conversation like this because it starts to spark, all of what is possible. And so much of what we get exposed to is loss framing and risk framing, and people, worrying about what these changes mean to them instead of getting excited about what these changes could mean for them. And in every single evolution and revolution that we've ever had, on planet Earth, there are opportunities that get created, and for those who are worrying about what these things might mean. Oh no, whatever. Like you said, Stacey, it was really funny when you said, like, I've heard about something with car washes, right? It's like that in somebody's brain that might be like, oh, that's a reason not to do this. Well, these are dumb. Why are we even like, hold on.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, so look, from where I sit, there are, and these are legitimate concerns, real infrastructure requirements when you look at the load that EVs en masse will create for our grid that need to be addressed. And we do need to be open-minded and creative when it comes to solving those problems with our grid. That is a real and exciting, but very real challenge that we face as a nation. And frankly, as a world, right? Because we can't just be looking at things in our own little bubble when it comes to things like climate change, for example. But most opposition I find to EVs comes in two flavors. One is just, I like my engine, thank you very much. And two is fear. And most people that I find who are opposed to it are afraid. They're afraid of the jobs that it's going to cost. They're not excited about the jobs it can create. You just gave us an amazing list of jobs it could create, right? There's loss, but there's opportunity, right? And what you choose to focus on is, the kind of world you're going to experience. And I would wager that standing in the way of proven progress is probably a dumb thing to do rather than figuring out how you can get involved.
Don't want to interrupt you, Chad. Let me just bounce back a bit. General Motors is manufacturing more electric cars than you could imagine. Just like I told you about those gas stations that are doing hybrid kinds of things, fossil and electric. The industry is going to go where the consumer is.
Right.
The demand will drive it, Chad. We don't have to worry about that. For example, this tier one electric vehicle installation type stuff is people want to charge their cars at their home.
Yep.
So that's a whole new industry for some of our minority contractors. And I said E&T down in Alabama, Reverend Lindsey King, or Cortina, if you could try to drop that in the chat box for me, please. Cortina is our president from the Florida chapter, and she's wearing it out here with messages. Also, Cortina, if you do me a favor, Robert Clark Williams wants my contact info, please give it to him as well. But that tier, tier two installations is low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You go to Walgreens or places like that, they can't get them installed fast enough.
Yeah.
Jewel Osco is going to do it. I don't know up on the East Coast what the major store. If I said Kroger, I may have missed it.
Yeah,
you got stores along the upper
absolutely
East Coast. In Washington D.C. and Maryland, places like that, Virginia.
Harris Teeters are putting them in every place where every retailer, right? Every place where people, they see it as an upside. Like, hey, they're going to come here instead of somewhere else. There is an early adopter opportunity here.
Yes,
and there's, for the destinations themselves and obviously for the contractors to jump on.
If the car's charging, they're going to stay in the store and spend more money.
That's right. Hey, it's going to take 10 minutes, right? I'll take another 10. Larry, this has been fantastic. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to make sure we hit on before you go?
Well, I just want to thank you for this forum, public information that's available out there. And I want to wish you all well. And if we can collaborate in the future or bring you any additional resources, checking in periodically, feel free to contact us. And it's either myself or I can send Cortina or our national vice president if there's a specific state that you have an interest in. We have chapters. Go to our website. When you click US Minority Contractors with an S.org, you click chapters, you'll see the states that we have chapters in. And we're really beginning now to launch. We had the Commonwealth of Virginia. We've added to that Maryland, Delaware, and DC. So when you go to the website, you'll see the Commonwealth of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and DC now. They're all in one chapter. And we have an outstanding president, Lynette Bryan, up there, and she's out of Baltimore, Maryland.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. And anything that you want to share with us, we could certainly pass along in our newsletter and on our website, things along those lines. And I've got the date here again, March 25th of 2025 for your Part 2 Summit for contractors to learn more and network and capitalize on these opportunities.
Thank you all so very, very much. Stay blessed, stay healthy, and stay safe.
Same
Thank
to you,
you.
Larry. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. All right, Stacey, that was fun.
That was so fun for our first episode. I learned a lot. I really like all the ideas that he threw out there.
That was so great. They were
I'm
like,
should I
he was
start
just like,
another business?
each one of these, right? Totally. Each one of these is $1 million idea. Like just, one after the next. You sit there like, man, we got to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was a great discussion. Obviously, lots of action in the chat. Mostly just people sharing awesome ideas and links and things like that with each other. If you want to get access to that, you'd have to watch this on LinkedIn. But you can go back.
I'll put it in the newsletter if you.
Well, yeah, you can drop that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Stacey, is there anything coming up that you want to make anybody aware of?
So next week we have Dr. Estelle Marie Montgomery from FH Fontory. I had the pleasure working with her right before the summer. We did a lot of marketing stuff together to help her organization flourish and get them trained up over there. But she's going to be talking about the DC's first resilience hub incubator. And I don't want to give too much away. So she'll explain that next week, but we're excited to have her. She impresses me so much. Her vocabulary is like no other.
So I'm not only going to learn about her expertise, I'm also going to learn words.
Yes.
Fantastic. I could use a few.
Yeah. And then Mark Jury, a longtime fan and has been on the show, I think, our very first season.
Right.
He's going to be subbing for you because you'll be out of town.
That's exactly right. Yeah. He'll be guest hosting alongside you. Yeah.
Yes. So
that'll be awesome.
I hope I press all the right buttons. We got off. If there's some technical issue,
we'll do a little demo, Stace. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for that. Looking ahead. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you next week and every week for the next quite some time, and all the way up until the holidays, when we have a mini break, and then we'll be right back at it in January. So, but yeah, we'll see you guys soon, and wish you well.
Thanks for joining us.
See you
next week.
Hi there. Before we go, just a note to say that while Stacey and I love creating the Morning Huddle Construction Show, it's neither of our full-time job, and we'd love it if you checked out our day jobs and supported those as well if you're in a position to. Stacey runs Steel Toe Communications. It is a marketing and communications firm that works with websites and branding and messaging and social media only for construction companies. She really knows her stuff. You should check it out. And I run a business called Well Built Consulting. Well Built Construction Consulting is a group of 10 people and growing. We are working with contractors to create a better place in the construction industry, one company at a time, by creating and executing strategic business improvement plans and helping these companies to be better places to work, provide better service for their customer, and ultimately make a couple more bucks. I hope you check us out. Thanks very much for your support.